Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this update on day 2 of the trial of Sean Combs. Today, the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, on the stand for much of the day. She wrapped up her testimony just before 5 o'clock and will be back tomorrow. Now, Ventura told the jury she participated in nearly every one of Combs' so-called freak-off sex parties, saying there were too many to count. She says the drug-fueled sex parties lasted as long as 4 days at a time. Ventura struggled with her emotions as she shared all the sordid details. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles was in the courtroom and has more on today's proceedings.
Today was the first full day of testimony, and today we saw Sean Combs, the businessman, seated behind the defense table. He's seated back, resting. He's listening intently to every word that is being said, and at times scribbling notes about what is being said, especially during the testimony of Cassie Ventura. She testified today that the freak-offs from the beginning made her feel disgusting and humiliated, and the only time she tried to leave, the one and only time she tried to leave, was in 2016. In that hotel room in Los Angeles, and that's when it got violent. At the center of the case, the United States versus Sean Combs, Cassie Ventura. The 55-year-old media mogul focused squarely on his ex-girlfriend of 11 years as she entered a 26th-floor courtroom Tuesday morning. Ventura not one time looking over in Combs' direction. Federal prosecutors getting right into her testimony about the freak-offs, the sexual encounters, that the 8-man, 4-woman jury will have to decide if they were coerced and considered criminal sex trafficking or a consensual part of their high-profile relationship. Prosecutors asking, between when the freak-off started, do you recall every freak-off you participated in? Ventura responding, that would be impossible. Why is that? Prosecutors asked. She said, because of the drugs. Ventura also testifying, scheduling the freak-offs felt like it became a full-time job, taking a back seat to her music career. Was there any part of the freak-offs that you enjoyed? Prosecutors asked. Ventura answering, the time I spent with him. There was always so many people around him. As sad as it was, I felt like it was the only time I could get. And Ventura also describing the volatility of the on and off relationship. Prosecutors asking, how did you feel about Sean Combs seeing other people? Ventura responding, I was insanely jealous, young and jealous. I didn't get it. Prosecutors asking, and what do you mean when you say you didn't get it? Ventura responding, I didn't get he was Puff Daddy. He has many women. He likes the company of many women. And tomorrow morning, Ventura will return to the stand for direct examination from prosecutors. Obviously, the defense will have a lot to say when they cross-examine her after her direct testimony is over.
We are joined now by Brian Buckmeyer, ABC News legal analyst. A long day of testimony from Cassie Ventura. Is there anything you heard today that surprised you, or really it was difficult to listen to?
Definitely difficult to listen to. I don't think anything too surprising, but what I will say, shocking. And the reason why I say that is because if you go back to November of 2023, when Cassie filed that civil lawsuit, we knew there were going to be some bombshell allegations. When we saw that video of Sean Combs chasing down Cassie and assaulting her in the hallway, we knew how grotesque and how horrible these actions were. And even the defense said, a lot of the things we're going to hear are indefensible. And so not surprising, but shocking to hear some of the more gripping testimony, things that ABC is even telling me I can't repeat on air.
Exactly. That's some of the things I've seen I wouldn't want to repeat on air. So when the jury is listening to these kinds of things, that gets to the heart of why a jury makeup is so important in a case, does it not?
Absolutely, because sometimes it's not just about the facts, but who receives the facts. When I pick a jury sometimes as a defense attorney, I make the joke of when I was in high school, I was like 6'1", 6'2". On the soccer field, I was a giant. On a basketball court, the smallest guy. Yeah. My height stayed the same, but who receives that information can also be as impactful as the actual information itself.
Yeah, and I was thinking, man, I would love to be in that room looking at the faces of those jurors as they heard this. And you're telling me you expect that she is likely to be on the stand for the rest of the week?
Yes, so I was in court both today and yesterday in the morning, seeing Cassie and some of the jurors as well. Very stoic. I think they understand the gravity of this case and how serious it is. I see them taking notes. I see them leaning in. She's very soft-spoken in the way that she speaks. You can also hear a bit of tremble in her voice when she describes some of these very horrific incidences. The reason why I think she's going to be there all this week is because her direct examination is just starting. Her cross-examination probably going to last very long until this week.
And look, she's not the only witness in this case. Is she the most important witness? And is that because of that video and we've all seen it?
I think she's a star witness for a number of reasons. One, her civil lawsuit, if you want to make the argument, sparked this whole thing to start off. The other issue would be that the length of that relationship with her and Sean Combs, about a decade as well. And then, of course, as you pointed out, the video as well. But there are two other alleged victims in this case. One going by the name of Jane, a pseudonym, who also says her interaction with Sean Combs was very much the same. And another who is allegedly an employee who had a very frightening and dangerous encounter where she accused of Sean Combs of forced labor, as well as holding her at gunpoint and kidnapping her to go and see if someone was in Cassie's home.
Now, as shocking as some of what we heard today was, the defense still will cross-examine her, and the prosecution still has to prove its case. And as the defense has said, it's not just about him being mean or nasty. They have to actually prove what he did was a crime.
Yeah, so the defense, I think, has their work cut out for them, and also, in some respects, has a very long and high hill to climb. What they're attempting to do, and why I say they have their work cut out for them to some degree, is they're trying to make a very analytical and technical argument here, that Sean Combs did, in fact, commit crimes. Tenny Garagos, in an opening statement, says that many of his actions are indefensible. But what they're trying to say is these are state crimes of rape, sexual assault, battery, things like that. But it doesn't amount to trafficking or racketeering, as they're arguing, that Sean Combs is guilty of some crimes, but not the crimes he's being accused of here.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, ABC News legal analyst. We know we will be talking to you as this trial goes on. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.
We talked about Cassie Ventura's day on the stand, but now we want to take a closer look at how she went from a budding music star to the prosecution's star witness. Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson takes a look.
Cassandra Elizabeth Ventura was born in New London, Connecticut, and even from a young age, she showed off her talents as a piano player, dancer, and top student. When she was 18 years old, her first big break, she met singer and producer Ryan Leslie, who introduced her to music mogul Tommy Mottola, who signed her to his management company. Soon after, Sean Combs discovered her, signing her to an album deal and releasing her debut single, Me and You.
They know you're the one I wanna give it to. I can see you on me too.
The song climbed to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 list. Cassie was just 19 at the time. Today on the witness stand, she was asked what she knew about Combs when she met him. Quote, I just knew that he was this larger-than-life entrepreneur, musician, was a fan of the music. That would quickly change, and as Cassie's career was seemingly taking off, Combs was transforming from mentor to boyfriend. Quote, I wanted to be around Sean for the same reasons as everyone else at the time. Cassie testified today, adding, quote, he was just this exciting, entertaining, fun guy that also happened to have, you know, my career in his hands. As for her career, she would be featured in GQ magazine, appear in movies like Step Up 2, The Streets.
She doesn't have what it takes. You just put your spit all over me.
And music videos like Wiz Khalifa's Roll Up.
Don't care what your friends say, cause they don't know me. I could be your best friend and you be my homie. I ain't gon' flex, I'm not gon' front.
But behind the scenes, Cassie today described a controlling boyfriend who has security monitor her 24 hours a day and who had extreme mood swings, telling jurors, quote, make the wrong face, and the next thing I knew, I was getting hit in the face. 12 years after she first met Combs and a short time after their relationship ended, Cassie married personal trainer Alex Fine. The couple has 2 daughters and are expecting a 3rd child. And in her final moments on the stand today, Ventura talked about that now infamous video inside that LA hallway in 2016. She said she was trying to leave a freak off and that Combs gave her a black eye. She went on to say, quote, the idea of objectifying me was tossed around like it was nothing, putting me in these compromising positions with strangers.
Thank you for joining us for this update on the Sean Combs trial on ABC7 and Why. Be sure to stay with Eyewitness News and ABC News for updates on the trial as they happen. Testimony continues tomorrow, and we'll be there.